Well, I'm back here again. Alright, let's make some different choices, everyone. Let's go! Onward!
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Okay, a little bit of a different dialogue here.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Fine, we'll go through that door again.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Let's not. We'll find a different path to take.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Downstairs. Let's go. This way.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations.
Such as?
For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
That's a good question.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
Okay.
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife
I thought you said I didn't
and
have
my
a wife.
job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
What's the truth here?
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Stanley? It's not okay, buddy.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What? Well, that was sudden.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Oh.
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Wow. Huh. That felt a little too real. Just a little bit. And we're back here again. Alright, let's make some different choices here.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, we've heard this story before. Jeez.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Okay, so we're going
Coming to a
upstairs.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Alright. Executive bathroom. We can go in the bathroom. I'm going to the bathroom. 8. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. If the boss has suffered losses, then it's what the boss chose. Okay, anyway. Can I go anywhere else? I can. What's in here? Business strategy. What is this? Doors monthly, shapes. Oh, good lord. Hello, elevator. Dance to the elevator music. Yes. Yeah. actually dance in the elevator when I'm alone in it. Just a little bit of a secret between you and me and all that. Jeez, how far does this elevator go? Okay, so... Oh. Oh. Really? Is that all? Really? Okay, fine. Really? Whatever. Hello?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Yeah.
What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845? Well, I don't see any keypad anywhere, so like...
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
But I don't see any... You can literally hear me clacking keys here.
2845.
Yes, I heard you the first time, buddy boy. It's not gonna work. Oh, piano. Anyway, as you were saying before...
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself.
All right.
And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Cool beans, bro. Let's go. Alright. Okay. There's darkness before me. And it's too dark to see anything there. Let's go. Down. All right, let's go.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
How about we don't? Let's go this way. Escape!
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Oh, come on, it can't be that bad.
The door behind him was not shut.
What?
Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Screw that shit. I already went through that before. I'm sure everything will be fine.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not gonna be that bad. If I just keep walking forward, then everything will be okay. You like that? That was awesome. We're back at our office, aren't we? Apparently not.
machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Bye, narrator. Wait.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
Wait, what?
In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Wait, who are you? You're not my narrator. Hold on. Oh, wasn't I gonna die? I mean, not that I'm complaining about being saved, but... What the fuck?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Where am I?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Then why do we keep repeating this? I need answers. What's this? The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor had been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches 2 doors in a good time. Stanley's computer. Nature paintings. Office layout. The blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the 2 doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development. Their core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Let's see, filing cabinets, office computers. Ooh, fancy. The 2 doors. The set of 2 doors was the first concrete piece of Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was completed, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction of this room posed. The office. Button sounds. A selection of sounds used throughout the game when the buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. Excuse me. And we're back. Credits. Kevin Brighting as narrator. You did a good job, dude. Props to you. Where to go from here? What's this? Now I have a choice of where to go now. At least it looks like it. Boss's office. Development of the office. The office clock. I wonder if that ever changes time. It's so weird in here. So apparently Stanley was long dead. Maintenance room. Greenlight. In September 2012, we submitted the Stanley Parable to Greenlight, Valve's process of approving games for Steam. The Greenlight page had only a series of cryptic photos, which were still enough to win the community's approval. Wow. In early development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was far too joking and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. I see. I'm learning a lot about this game. It's actually pretty cool. The lounge. An early version. Huh. Man. Narrator emails. After the second trailer we sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these in further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Here are a selection of those emails. Are you a rock? What did the lights in the control room do? I really want to know. We don't have to stay there for too long. What's this? Apartment timer. In a previous version of the choice leading to the apartment ending, the timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. Wow, this is like the bonus room I put in for Legend of Perseus. The second version is functionally the same as what it's in the final game, but we wanted to make it look like a place where cargo was actually stored. Alright. Cargo lift. The cargo lift was always intended to offer the choice of staying or jumping onto a different path. However, as this earlier version, we decided also want the option of the player falling to their death. Oh, I could have done that? Ah. Maybe I'll come back to that? I don't know. There's so many choices you can make. Oh, man. I would really like to continue exploring all this, but I really need to get going. What the fuck is this? We ran 4 major teaser trailers over the course of the game's development, each meant to convey something about the spirit of the game. This is the first one, released in May 2012. It features a series of broken rooms and the voice of the narrator informing viewers that he is preparing a new version of the Stanley Parable. We'll get back to that. What's this? Escape menu. For a long time, we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized this was supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. Maintenance layout. The flow hallways following the two doors was important to get right since players would replay them so many times. We discussed a number of designs, but ultimately it was the simplest version that won out. The meeting room. There's so much to explore here. Countdown room. Oh, this is the early version of the Freedom ending? Oh, in the beta version. Ooh, what's this? For a time, the elevator and the monitor would go up or down with the Freedom above and countdown below. We abandoned when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down, and we placed the two endings together instead. Okay. Zending levers. These levers were originally part of the Zending. The player would pull a lever and the narrator would describe the letter. Apparently they don't work anymore. Let's see, that's the trailer. Wow, this place is huge. Huge, huge, huge. I don't remember where to go from here anymore. I am lost. Let's see. Let's go downstairs. Jeez, there's so much to this. What's this? Employee lounge. Oh, what's this?
See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room. Perfect example of poor level design, textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you pick up on intuitively if you have even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad games.
Kevin Brighting, the voice of the narrator, recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over the 2 years of development. These are clips from early takes that were not used in the final game.
For all his button pushing. Does that sound plausible to you? Stanley walked through the green door.
Early version of the underground portion of the game. I'm guessing the only way to escape this part is to, like, restart the game from the beginning, I suppose. Because I think I've found everything. Very first incarnation. Huh. Because I'm pretty sure I've looked through everything. Exit! Never mind, here we are.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
I think I'm done here.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
What do you mean?
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
What?
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail.
What?
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Stanley? Buddy? Hey, Come on. I'm sorry, Stanley. What have I done?